Hello everyone, I'm Shavantika, legal intern at Lexis & Company for the month of June, and today in this video we'll understand what a crossed check means and who can issue it and how the payment of a cross check is made. So let's start with the concept. So according to section 87 of the NI Act, if a holder makes material alteration in the negotiable instrument itself, he loses the right of action against those who were liable to him. But the section 87 is also subject to the provisions of section 125, which permits the holder to cross a check. So if you make any other alteration, being the holder of a check, if you make any other alterations, you will lose your right against that negotiable instrument itself. But if the alteration is made in a furtherance of section 125, then you may not lose your right over that negotiable instrument. So let us talk about what are the type of crossings. So firstly, there is general crossing, which is mentioned in section 123, where a check bearer crosses in face an addition of words like and company or any abbreviation thereof between two parallel transverse lines. So on the check itself, you draw two parallel lines, okay, or the two parallel transverse lines simply either or without the words not negotiable, so it is not important to write, but you may. That addition shall be deemed to be a crossing, okay, and the check shall be deemed to have been crossed generally. So the general crossing therefore consists of drawing of two parallel lines, two parallel transverse lines on the face of the check. Sometimes in addition to these two lines, the words and company or not negotiable may also be added, which is not specific but may be added. Such crossings are also called as the general crossings only. Okay. Now, when a check is crossed generally, the banker to whom it is drawn shall not pay it otherwise than to the banker. This is what is mentioned in section 126. This means that the drawee bank is not to make the payment of the check at the counter, but the payment is to be made only to another bank who collects the check on behalf of the holder. In case of general crossing, therefore, the holder may get the check collected through some bank only. Okay, I hope you understand general crossing. Now we'll move further to special crossings. Special crossings are mentioned in section 124, where a check bearer crosses its face an addition to the name of a banker, okay, either with or without the words not negotiable. That addition shall be deemed to be a crossing, and check shall be deemed to be crossed specially and to be crossed to that banker only. So in special crossing consists in writing the name of some bank across the face of the check itself. For example, if a check has been drawn on the State Bank, suppose State Bank of India, and across its face the holder writes Punjab National Bank, the check is deemed to be crossed specially and is to be crossed specially to Punjab National Bank only. Okay, special crossings can only be made in name of one banker. This is general rule according to section 127, where a check is crossed specially to more than one banker. Suppose the banker to whom it is drawn shall refuse payment thereof. Okay, there is, however, one exception to this rule, that the banker to whom it has been specially crossed may make another special crossing in the name of another bank, which shall act as the agent of the former bank. So this bank shall only act as an agent for the former bank that had made the crossing for the subsequent bank. Okay. Another type of crossing is account pay crossing. Okay, sometimes along with crossing of a check, the words account pay or account pay only is written generally. So the effects of such word is that the collecting bank is supposed to collect the check only on behalf of the pay. If the collecting bank collects it on behalf of some other person, it can be held responsible for the same. So, the object behind these words are to give protection to the payee itself. So, this is a very minimum basic protection given to the payee. But when you go into the specifics of it, it generally concludes to be a very big protection to the pay because many of the checks are of huge amounts. So this basically gives them a cover that the money is safe and is going to be transferred directly into their account. So let us now talk about who can cross a check. So section 125 permits the crossing being made by only the following holders. Firstly, when a check is uncrossed, in that situation, the holder may cross it generally or specifically. Or if suppose the check is generally crossed, then the holder may also cross it specially. Okay. Now, when a check is crossed generally or specially, the holder can even add the words not negotiable. That means you cannot further negotiate the check. The banker is also entitled to cross the check in name of another bank. Okay. The banker is also entitled to cross the check in the name of another bank who collects the check as agent of the former bank, as we had discussed. Therefore, in a check, if a check is specially crossed, the banker to whom it is crossed may cross it specially or to another banker as his agent for such collection. This is underlined in section 127. Now, let's discuss what are the protection given to the collecting bank. It's mentioned in section 131 of the Act that it grants protection to the collecting banks. If the collecting bank has collected the check satisfying the conditions that are mentioned in section 131, then it cannot be held liable even in the case if the amount is collected on behalf of the person who is not the true owner. In order to avail such protection, the banker has to prove certain things, and we'll discuss that now. Firstly, that the banker had received the payment of a crossed check. This means that the check which is collected must have been given to the banker as crossed, that is, which is crossed either generally or specifically to the banker before it reaches the hands of the collecting bank. Secondly, that the collection was made by the bank on behalf of the customer only. Third, that the collecting bank must have acted in good faith without negligence in collecting the amount due on the check. We'll also discuss one case, that is Syndicate Bank versus Jayashree Industries. In this case, a draft in name of Miss Rama was collected and credited to the account of Mr. Rama. The bank was held to be negligent in this case and thus was not entitled to any protection under section 131. So therefore, the negotiable instrument in the Negotiable Instrument Act, the bank does not have a defense that it acted in good faith. All right, as we had seen earlier. So I hope you understand this concept altogether. We'll be back soon with another video. Thank you so much.